Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by Good Marketing and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Outdoor recreation checks a lot of boxes when it comes to things that bring value to our lives. It drives our health and wellness, and it also drives our economy. Here to discuss the details and the impact of the annual Michigan Ice Fest is the festival organizer and co-owner of Downwind Sports, Mr. Bill Thompson, and the executive director of the Michigan Outdoor Recreation Industry Office from the MEDC is Mr. Brad Garmon. Welcome, Brad and Bill.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, Brad, let me start with you real quick since you're here in studio. Can you give us an overview of the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office? You know, what exactly is your mission? What do you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is, I have the best job in the state of Michigan, maybe second to Bill. I don't know. We'll see. But the job of the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office is to grow the economy around all those things you just described. So the outdoor recreation that we all know and love and enjoy, Michigan has it all, and we'll talk about that more today. But in addition to being really fun and really good for our souls and our hearts and everything else, it's also really good for our economy. It includes a whole range of things that Michigan's really good at. So the office was created to grow and support that across the board, from product creation, manufacturing, all the way into the stuff that we know and love, especially in the winter, going skiing, climbing, etc.
Got it. And it's not really tourism focused. It's really more industry focused. That's the industry part of your title of your department really is to help join all of the folks that are doing work and driving employment and paying taxes and manufacturing, as you mentioned, here in the state. Is that right?
You got it. And that's why I'm so excited that Bill was able to join us today, because I think, the tourism and getting people outdoors is the foundation of so much of it. But for, many years, Pure Michigan has been doing a great job of that.
Yep.
So what we need to do is diversify that and also get into the retail support, get into the manufacturing support, other pieces so that we can really diversify, make it a really resilient, robust, full-fledged sector that we have all the boxes really ticked on that piece.
Right. Are there any numbers before we spin it over to Bill about?
So many numbers, which is not nearly as fun as talking about climbing on ice. But yeah, $13.9 billion of economic impact. We're waiting on new numbers. The federal government actually measures this economy now, specific to the outdoors. Michigan is one of the largest in the country, and it has a lot of room to grow. I think that's a lot of what the advocates are telling us, a lot of what the industries are telling us. We can do more. If we invest in that $13.9 billion, those are jobs, those are training programs, those are education programs, Northern Michigan up in Marquette. There's so many pieces that we can continue to invest in and grow that just make that number continue to grow.
Right, and I think brand awareness. I think as a guy who's not a native Michigander and travels outside of Michigan regularly, I don't think people sitting in other states, when they say, hey, think about outdoor recreation states, where would you go if you wanted to experience outdoor rec? Whether it's winter or whether it's summer, I think other states would probably bubble up before Michigan does. And I think that's a shame to know. And I'm grateful that you're out there banging the drum.
Well, that's a great kickoff for I think, our conversation with Bill today. Because one of the things we know from a lot of data and a lot of conversations is that winter is often seen as a detriment in Michigan. Right. And that's not true in states that are known for outdoors like Utah, right. Colorado. It's a huge draw for them.
Yep.
And it's not just the outdoor businesses, it's all the talent recruiting in fintech and everything else that we do. Utah, like people rank Utah, is that outdoor recreation is one of the, if not the most important reason they live there, and their winter kind of looks like ours. So there ought to be ways that we can turn winter from sort of a perceived disadvantage in this space to one of the best things that we have going, full 4-season experience. And Bill and his team are one of the best at doing that.
Wonderful. So Bill, let me turn it over to you. So, when I think of Michigan's offerings in winter, I think about snowmobiling and skiing and downhill cross country ice fishing. Ice climbing, I got to tell you, is new to me. I was fortunate enough to experience your event a couple of years ago, but talk a little bit about the location and the origins of Ice Fest.
Well, the location, we have ice all over the Upper Peninsula, but the main concentration and what makes Michigan a world-class ice climbing destination is Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. And so it is a sandstone formation, and it's very porous. We get a lot of snow, a lot of rain in the fall, puts water in the ground table, and then we turn off the heat in September, October. It starts getting cold, and you start to see these beautiful formations start to seep right out of the rock, and all of those waterfalls at Pictured Rocks freeze, and then we have people that come from all over the world to come here to ice climb.
And that's in Munising? Is Munising the host town for this pretty much?
Little old Munising just is thriving with ice climbers in the wintertime, and we're very excited about that.
When did the Ice Fest actually begin?
It actually started back in the early 90s. A gentleman from Kalamazoo, Michigan, had the idea to start this festival, and he planned it, and I was myself and my climbing partner, Arnie, were some of the first participants, and there were 10 ice climbers at this festival. And we just thought, oh my gosh, there's other people that ice climb. This is crazy. And then Mark, who was the originator, was starting a family. And so we asked if we could take it over, and we took it over. And the first year we did it had 40 people, and it was like mind blowing that there were actually 40 ice climbers in the Midwest. And right now we get about 1,100 climbers from all over the planet that come here to ice climb. So it's just a real exciting week to be in the Upper Peninsula.
That's fantastic. And if I can, I'd like to just illustrate verbally a little bit about what you see, because I got the chance to experience it. You talked about the sandstone formation. So we're talking about the northern shore of the Upper Peninsula. I know I have some listeners that aren't all that familiar with Michigan or it's the UP. And it's over Lake Superior, right? And you have this big sandstone cliff face, basically, that acts as a sponge, right? So the water kind of seeps down, and then as it pushes out, and then ice forms, and you end up with whatever, 8 to 24 inches of ice along a sheer face of a cliff above Lake Superior. So if I remember, Brad, you told me when I was first being introduced, because my head exploded when you told me where I was going to go experience, you said, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is like the only chance that you can ice climb over open water.
Well, I don't know.
Or maybe,
it's the largest, Bill, you can correct me, largest ice climbing festival on natural ice. Most people farm it. They make ice out in Uray, Colorado and stuff, but we have naturally occurring waterfalls, and that's
and
really
you're climbing over the roaring Lake Superior.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's correct. We're the oldest ice climbing festival, and right now, if you count paid participants, we are the largest ice climbing festival in the country. And when you're talking about climbing over open water, there are places you can climb. Some places that you can climb over, maybe a pit that has water in it, but there's nowhere else that you can climb over a body of water like Lake Superior. Mm-hmm. And so we have actually professional photographers that plan to come up during this festival, because visually it is spectacular, and there's nowhere else you can document ice climbing like you can in the Upper Peninsula.
There's a couple of, I don't know if you can throw these into the comments and stuff, but Chasing Waterfalls, there's some amazing films been made about Michigan Ice Fest, and it is something you got to see to really believe and understand how amazing the landscape is. Some of the backcountry experiences that Bill's able to pull off. I was able to go back to the backcountry, and it is absolutely spectacular. You walk around a corner into some canyon where waterfall just frozen, and over Lake Superior, yes, but the backcountry stuff is also just mind-blowing that that's in Michigan, and people in Michigan have not seen it, need to see it.
Right on. And I was raised on the Warren Miller ski movies, and so you see these nuts going out and doing extreme stuff. At places, what I liked about it is every year they go to different places, and so I just, in my mind's eye, this is a Mecca type of endeavor for some guy in Argentina and some guy from Egypt and Brazil or whatever come to Munising once a year and put a pin in the calendar for this particular event to go experience this kind of space, because it's such a, again, I know they have beginners that come do it, but these experts come and check it out because it's a unique circumstance. So
yeah, you can, people in Detroit, families in Detroit, in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing, they come up as well, and they can experience it. So it sounds like it's extreme. It sounds like it's very scary. It sounds like you need a lot of upper body arms to be able to climb ice. You don't. All you need is proper instruction, and it is a family sport. And so we have that extreme stuff that we like to throw Brad out onto. we also have some really mild stuff that we like to do, really basic instruction to give people the toolbox to have success.
Well, I think one of the amazing things you've been able to do, Bill, and showed me is, once folks like Conrad Anker and like the superstars of the sport started showing up there, thanks to your recruiting, the way you described it to me is sort of like, if you were going to basketball camp as a newbie, but Michael Jordan is your coach, that is the experience you have. And that's the experience I've had. And being part of this event for the last few years. Yeah, world-class folks. I'm the first time on the ice ever, and somebody who summited Everest from Full Circle Everest is on belay down below me. And I'm like, holy cow, these people have summited the biggest peaks in the world, and they're hanging out with me in Munising, and then we meet up for a burger afterwards. It's absolutely an incredible experience.
Unbelievable. So now how, I'd like to get into some of the details. So like, how do people register to attend? And when you register to attend, are you signing up for excursions, or can you just kind of show up if you get a hotel room and just kind of wander the halls, or, how formal and what is the process? What does that look like?
Well, it's all of the above, really. So we have a website. You can go there to register. And we have a menu of, we basically plan every second of the day. So it really depends on what experience you want. Some people want to come up and just see the presentations. Because Brad said we have world-class athletes that give these presentations. Some people want to try it for one day. Some people want to go for the entire week. So it really is based on what you want to learn and what you want to experience. So if they go to our website, they can see all of our offerings and then kind of cater to their needs. But yes, you can pre-register. You can register at the door. We just welcome everyone, no matter what your experience is. Actually, to be honest with you, the lion's share of the people that come up to our event have never ice climbed before.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it's just not an activity that you walk into a retail store, buy the stuff, and go teach yourself. You just don't do that.
It's not like picking up pickleball.
Yeah, and so we say our event is an opportunity, and there's lots of opportunities. This is the opportunity to learn how to ice climb.
Right on. Well, here at Michigan Reimagined, we tell stories of passionate Michiganders doing great things across the state. And today's podcast sponsor, Good Marketing, helps organize those stories into powerful, measurable ways. It's a behavior change accelerator. Good partners with mission-driven clients to inspire action, shift mindsets, and strengthen communities. From advancing affordable housing to protecting natural resources, expanding education and workforce opportunities, their work moves Michigan forward. See how they're shaping Michigan's future at goodmarketing.com. That's GUD marketing.com. So, all right. So registration, kind of show up. Do you sell out? I mean, can people run into not being able, maybe for certain excursions, but as far as wandering around and checking out the vibe?
We never turn anyone away. And so, yeah, they can come up. So some classes do sell out, but there's always opportunities to get some gear, go out and have some instruction and learn how to ice climb. I want to go back to one thing that Brad said, though. It's kind of getting me, and I've been wanting to say this, but when you talk about other states for outdoor recreation, yes, they talk about Colorado and Utah, but man, do we have everything here. And this winter, we have all the snow. I cannot tell you how much snow I've had to blow out of my driveway. And Colorado, Utah, Wyoming have nothing this year.
Oh, is that right? I haven't noticed them. I know we got pounded, but
there's no snow and there's no ice. And so I encourage everyone from whoever's listening to this, pack up the family and come north, and wherever north is to you, because there's a lot of snow and it's so much fun to play with. And Michigan has that consistently. We have snow because we have these things called the Great Lakes that are just a snowmaker. And it is our mission to get people to say outdoor recreation, it's the state of Michigan.
Awesome. That's great to hear. You teased us earlier about a website to learn more and see some of these pictures and register for things, but I didn't hear the website. What is your website for Michigan Ice Fest?
It's MichiganIceFest.com. It's as simple as that.
That's pretty easy to know.
They can find all the photos and everything on our social media. Same thing, Michigan Ice on Instagram and Facebook, and find us there as well.
Right on. And now, so when you arrive in the town of Munising, which obviously is not a very large space, you have a hub. Talk a little bit about what headquarters kind of looks like, and if you were to attend, what you would experience checking it out.
Well, we kind of take over a retired school. And so we have our headquarters, and that's where you pick up your credentials. And then we have what's called the Gearnasium. Brad's been part of that, where we take a gymnasium and we turn it into an outdoor retail space. So every outdoor vendor in the industry is there, showing off their goods, from Patagonia to North Face, Arc'teryx, Black Diamond, La Sportiva. All of the big players are there. And the great thing is that they have a wide variety of staff, from the national sales manager to the marketing people to the sales people. So I mentioned before, it's an opportunity. So you might have a son or a daughter that might be interested in the outdoors. They may want to work in the outdoors. This is an opportunity for them to come to and see these outdoor companies and actually interact with the people that do the hiring.
Yeah.
And so we really encourage people to take advantage of this opportunity. But then you have professional athletes that are standing there. And Brad mentioned Conrad Anchor. Conrad will be there. He'll be hanging out in the North Face booth. So that's your opportunity to go up to Conrad and say, how did you get into this industry? How, just ask him any question that you have been wanting to ask somebody like Conrad, and they're there and accessible to you. And so that's kind of that whole school is where our headquarters are at. And that's where everyone meets in the morning and picks up their gear. And then we shuttle people into the park. So, Chris, I mean, this would be foolish, but you could come up and not climb, but still, still go to headquarters, hop on our shuttle bus. The shuttle bus takes you right to the climb. So you can go up there and watch people ice climbing. It's kind of like watching somebody eat ice cream. It's not very fun to watch somebody eat ice cream, but maybe you'll turn around, come back, get some gear, and then go out and try it yourself. But so once again, this event this week is for everyone, whether you're a climber or not.
And to piggyback on some of that, Brad, I know that you talked about this. Not only are that the big brands, North Face, Patagonia stuff, but you also have entrepreneurs, right, and inventors that have the next widget or whatever, and maybe they come up and have a small booth or wandering around trying to maybe either link up with one of these big manufacturers to buy their invention, or maybe even manufacture it themselves and get some traction up there. Is that right?
Sure, it's something we're starting to work on, and again, full credit to Bill for seeing this opportunity. But the thing about Ice Fest and why the Outdoor Industry Office is so invested, it is because it is truly a national, global event. And not just for the users, it's for the brands themselves. The industry partners come. So I think, Bill, last year, and maybe for a few years now, Black Diamond's sending product designers as well to get on stage and talk about like what it's like to design a new ice axe or a crampon or something, and how they got into it. And they'll sit around with you in that school in a classroom, and you can look out the window at 3 feet of snow and talk to the Black Diamond design manager about getting into designing outdoor gear product stuff. That is a really spectacular conglomeration of just expertise and opportunity and uniqueness of Michigan. And I think there are other examples in other spaces, like the expo around the Iceman Cometh mountain bike race, one of the largest mountain bike races in Traverse City. But nobody does it, I don't think, better than Ice Fest. And so, yeah, it's created an opportunity where national brands, Black Diamond, Loa, I'll share Patagonia. I know this podcast talks a lot about Lansing. So I was up there last year. I learned something every time too. But in that expo, in that Gearnasium he's talking about, Patagonia was fixing stuff. That's one of the things Patagonia known for: recycling, sustainability. They have someone with a sewing machine in there fixing your gear. Just bring your jacket or whatever, and she'll work on it if she can. But her next stop was Lansing, Michigan, because Patagonia partners with Peckham here in Lansing to produce and repair gear. And so hundreds, I think it's 200 people with sewing machines down the road here in Lansing are connected to Ice Fest, connected to Bill's work, through that brand, through this national brand that we're all walking around. We see Patagonia puffies everywhere and stuff. That is Michigan. And that's a story that Ice Fest can tell really well, because it's 24 below some mornings when you go out ice climbing. You need great gear. You need to stay warm. You need the right gloves. You need the right gear. How many of our Michigan companies, Michigan suppliers, Michigan innovators, entrepreneurs are loving the experience of getting out in winter and have an idea? I've seen people with mittens. I've seen people with jackets. I've seen people, and Bill's doing a great job on his retail side. We talk about his event, but Downwind Sports is one of the best at helping those folks access customers and getting All Dry and Aurelion and his product into the shop and getting it in exposure at events and stuff. So super cool, full circle. And that is the story of the outdoor economy to really maximize Michigan. And Ice Fest and just walking around town in Munising, you're seeing it all in one place.
That's awesome. Well, today's podcast is sponsored by our good friends at the Kirk Byron State Farm Agency. Their mission is to put the customer first when helping them plan for the risks of everyday life, including maybe ice climbing, to prepare for the unexpected and to realize their financial goals. Kirk and his team build value and confidence in your auto, home, life, health, business insurance, and financial service needs. Kirk is always looking for opportunities to help customers in mid-Michigan and around the country. Everyone has insurance needs, and you do well by contacting Kirk Byron State Farm Agency to hear what these experts have to say. You can get in touch with them by calling 517-349-3830 or look them up at sfbyrens, BYRENS.com. You won't regret it. You know, we haven't talked about when Ice Fest is. We're recording this in early January of 2026, but it is an annual event for 30-ish years. When does it usually get held, and when is the 2026 installment happening?
It's coming up this February, and it's our 35th anniversary. And so what we talked about the origins of it. It started in January, and it has migrated to mid-February. So we're chasing ice, and we're chasing lake ice to get out to Grand Island. That's kind of the candy that sits right offshore about a quarter mile from Munising and has wonderful ice climbing. And so, if people can just pin their calendar, this year it's February 11th through the 15th. It's over Valentine's weekend, and we always say Ice Fest is for lovers. So bring your sweetie on up and have an exciting adventure at Ice Fest this year.
And I would just, it is. I have had some of my favorite experiences just sitting there because the evening, Bill, and you talk a little bit about like the films and the presentations and speakers. It is, yes, very romantic and also super fun just to even show up there and like the gear giveaways and stuff. It is a full package. And I really do think it is a hidden gem. More Michigan people need to see this thing. And
there are other, so you have, talks and movies and seminars and things that are scattered around town. But there's also other events, if I'm not mistaken. When I was looking through the website, a group of people are going to head over to this brewery or over to this restaurant or whatever. There's a coffee place in the morning that's really big that has a stage where people have morning huddles and chats about what they're going to experience that day, if I'm not mistaken. And you elaborate on any of that and maybe any kind of run a show that's happening before and after hours?
Yeah, we mentioned we program every second. We have ice climbs that start at 5 a.m. It's called Dawn Patrol. So we go out by headlamp. But then you're speaking of our coffee talks, and they start at 8 a.m. At Gallery Coffee Company. And like Brad said, we have different interesting programs for these coffee talks where people maybe want a little bit slower start of the morning. They can go out and learn something, have a cup of coffee while they do that. And then our programming starts back up, usually when people are getting off the ice about 4 o'clock. So we have a speed dating event where you can meet other climbers and maybe develop relationships in a fun, safe way. We have a cooking class. So we have a professional athlete that works for Yeti that comes up and talks about and demonstrates how to cook in the outdoors. And so we have a whole schedule of activities at the brewery. And then we have socials that are going on. Detroit Outdoors comes up and has a pre-party where they cook amazing food. And this is all free, by the way. And then it's an opportunity to socialize with people after your climb and just kind of share stories of how the day went. And it's got a really great vibe and really good energy. And so we do that all through the night. And then we do in our big evening presentations. And like Brad said, we kind of do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday raffle where we give away about $20,000 worth of gear. Wow. And then we have a street party on Thursday night that we block off a street in front of the brewery and have bonfires and live music and then just all kinds of really, really fun things. So
it's a really good. And yeah, I think one of the things I was going to highlight too, and this seems like a good place, is just like the community around climbing, Bill, that you have been a part of for so long, is so welcoming. And I think that's what I've really been impressed by. And it's not just isolated to this event in Munising, but you do this world tour, kind of going around to the climbing gyms around Michigan, promoting the event. And I've shown up there, and it's just a very welcoming, and people want you to experience it. And I think because of that, this is a working theory, but sport climbing is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. In 2024, it was the fastest growing, the kind of the sport side of it. And so I think that is partly because it is such a community-driven thing, and it helps people embrace something they're uncomfortable with, maybe haven't done before, but they're welcomed into it, and they build friendships, they build lifelong relationships, and then they get to be part of events like this for the rest of their life. It's really cool.
And that's the other thing that Michigan has over these other outdoor states is that Michigan's very Midwest friendly. And so we liken this to a family reunion. Our family reunion's 35 years old. And so sometimes this event is the only time we get to see our cousins coming up and recreating. And so, yeah, super, super fun. We'd love to expand our family and have more people come up and experience kind of what Brad was talking about.
So do you have any numbers on attendees or, roughly how many people descend on Munising for this week-long event?
So obviously we're not done with registration right yet, but last year was 1,100 paid participants and about 150 staff. And that includes professional athletes that come over and all the industry people. So, with a population of 800, we're darn close to doubling the population of Munising for that week. And it's great just to walk around and you're going, yeah, ice climber. Yep. Ice climber. You can see them, you can tell. It's just brings a lot of life to Munising in the wintertime.
That's awesome. So not only do the attendees at that scale get to experience something memorable, life-changing, and the community that is, there is the maybe even unsexy economic impact. Clearly the bars and restaurants and hotels and stuff flourish from that. But as you shared, Brad, that kind of Patagonia comes and then they have an affiliation with Peckham. So they come down here and while they're in town, so to speak, even though it's about as far away as Philadelphia, but it kind of puts the hooks in the tribe. It kind of gets that family reunion that Bill was just talking about, and there's goodwill and there's kind of cascading effects of the economic drivers and the branding of Michigan and the UP, and that all goes hand in glove as this thing continues to take shape.
Yeah, and the fact, like Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, it is the equivalent of a national park, has all the same services, amenities, resources as a national park. And people, don't often experience those in winter. That's a thing that, if you go up to Pictured Rocks and you see it in the summer, go kayaking, take the boat cruise, go back in winter, check that out. And Munising feels and looks different. And the community does really benefit from the economics of these events. I was there a couple of years ago. I think I was staying at the Rome Inn, beautiful place. Totally would encourage you to do that one too. But, I walked across the street and supported a local fundraiser for the high school band. At the high school, they were having a breakfast there. And I think I saw other ice climbers, they're doing the same thing. So it is absolutely, culturally, I think you can feel like, oh, ice climbers, that's very different than snowmobilers. And that's true. But man, we all love these communities. We love the resources that we have to steward and protect to make sure these opportunities last. And we all need to do it together. So folks who love getting outdoors, whatever it looks like, crampons or snowmobiles, you should, get together and celebrate each other's contributions to these communities. It's really going to be important. And Bill's right. I've got family in Colorado, and they're sad because they don't have snow right now. So get out and enjoy it.
Right. Absolutely. On. Excellent. Well, let's remind everyone, MichiganIceFest.com is the place to go to check it out, learn more, register, and then get your butt up to Munising, Michigan in the middle of February. I heartily recommend it. I'm sad I probably am not going to be able to make it this year, but it's
a plug for Bill and Downwind Sports and the whole team there, and they've got shops across there, but they will get you out any time of year. Yes, go for Ice Fest, but Bill wrote the book on climbing up there in the summer too, and it is some of the best multi-pitch rock climbing in the Midwest, and Bill and his team will happy to show you that kind of stuff too. So fantastic. Great job, Bill.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Chris.
Our pleasure. Thank you. We've been talking to festival organizer and co-owner of Downwind Sports, Bill Thompson, about Ice Fest up in Munising in February 2026. And the MEDC's executive director for Michigan Outdoor Recreation Industry Office, Brad Garmon. Bill and Brad, really appreciate you sharing your story. All the best to safe climbing in a month, and wish you all the best. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'd like to give a final shout out to all my loyal sponsors. We've got Wagoner Financial, Good Marketing, Triterra Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Real Estate. We've got Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron State Farm, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. All great people worth the call. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to remind you to follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.